let's approach the topic of establishing goals from yet another angle. The movement is towards freedom planning. Do you feel as though you're on track? Here's a new way to think about financial planning within the framework of a lifestyle by deliberate design, the communication of financial planning. So let me ask you, have you ever sat down in a quiet moment and literally put pen to pad and wrote down what your personal lifestyle goals are and challenged your client to do the very same thing? I'm not talking about how many dollars you have in your account and wrapping your life around that. I'm talking about the other way around. Is your mission conditioned, or is it coming from an unconditioned place? Let's dive a little deeper and define what I mean when I say conditioned versus unconditioned. Conditioning are all the things that we deem to be sensible, proper, and correct. They're all the things that we grow up learning in society from our families, our peers, institutions, commercials, politics, the entire gamut. For example, success is often defined by many middle and upper class families as graduating from a fine university and getting a well-paying job. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, of course. I'm not proclamating one way or the other. I'm just saying, do we wonder about our choices? The entire world operates predominantly on a conditioned premise. It's only a select few that operate from that unconditional place where dreams and passions flow effortlessly, where ideas transform into ingenuity and technology. Examples are Einstein, Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs in one aspect of his life, and there are countless others. But it's that all-knowing place that intuitively knows what the next right thing is. And we all have that treasure chest. We all have that place deep inside of us, that intuitive voice that knows exactly what the next right thing is. So when that voice speaks to us and you listen to it, does it expand? Of course it does. Anything you give your attention to will expand. So if that voice told you on any particular day that you had an important business meeting not to go to work, would you even hear it? Would you dismiss it as ridiculous? Would you hear it but go on with your day as you routinely do? Or would you follow its guidance? There's a metamorphosis that is occurring, and the face of business is changing. More and more people are accessing that unconditional space. And its source is the right brain. The right brain is your link to your inspiration, your imagination, your intuition, your abundance, prosperity, freedom, states of well-being. And it's all there for the taking. Your left brain is simply a resource for implementation. But are we collectively and individually taking more direction from our left brain, which is linear and practical and logical and judgmental and critical thinking, or are we following the energy of holistic thinking in our endeavors? Many decades ago, when I was a young woman, I worked on Wall Street, and I enjoyed a very, very nice lifestyle and a sizable living. Yet my right brain kept calling me, telling me it's time to leave Wall Street and go back to school and become a therapist. I knew intuitively it was the next right thing. But my left brain had quite a bit to say about it. What? Go from 6 figures to no figures in no time flat? How are you going to pay your mortgage? How are you going to travel? How are you going to live your life? So you know what I did? I did what any nice Jewish girl does, and I went and I made an appointment with my financial planner. And yes, I had a financial planner even back in those early days. And I went to his office and we sat down, and I'll never forget this day because it was just 2 chairs, no desk, no conference table, just space. And he started out by saying, Darryn, I can see you have a very strong intention, but I can also hear the doubt and the skepticism in your voice. It was the next sentence that he shared with me that put chills through my body and still moves me to this day. What he said was, the least I can do is put my head and my heart in the game with you. Okay, so I know he's going to put his head in the game with me. That's kind of what I compensate him for. But he's going to put his heart in the game with me? It wasn't just the word. The word was actually the least of it. It was the authenticity, the energy, the sincerity that he put behind that word. So what he helped me do in that moment was to create in my mind's eye a strong visual and a sensate component, to create the lifestyle of my own deliberate design. He helped me to couple my imagination and my intuition. We devised a plan, and off I went. So let's take this a little bit more tangible. Okay. Take a look at the screen and tell me, which hand do you believe to be real? It's a trick question. If you selected the hand on the left, you would be correct if you were perceiving it through your left brain. If you selected the hand on the right, you would also be correct, but you were perceiving it more through the notion of your right brain. The hand on the right was taken with Kirlian photography, and Kirlian photography can actually capture the energetic essence, the frequency, the vibration around a physical object. So what it's saying is that energy in its densest form is physical matter. That matter is simply vibration perceived. It goes on to say that our thoughts are energy, our feelings are energy, our ideas, our beliefs, our experiences are all energy. So we are communicating. We are expressing ourselves with or without our awareness. So what are we creating? We'll get to that. The medical profession already has a derivative of this. The EKG and the EEG measures the electrical activity of the heart and the brain respectively. But this kind of technology is coming into the mainstream of business today. And why is that happening now? Because the left brain it's ready to receive it. The left brain, remember, the part of us that's logical and practical and tangible and concrete, and it likes to sink its teeth into things and know that it can feel and touch and smell, that it's not airy-fairy, that it's very, very real. So this technology sends a soothing argument to the left brain so it can be convinced and it can subside. So we can access that unconditional space, that place where all our ideas and our abundance reside. Albert Einstein said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used to create them. So if we're focused on a problem, we're going to get more problems. If we're focused on solutions, solutions will flow. So you want to think about your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, your beliefs, everything like a frequency on a radio station. If you're tuned into classic rock, you cannot hear country music. If you want to hear country music, you have to change the dial. You have to change your ideas about things. You have to change your beliefs. And beliefs are only thoughts that you think habitually. You change your thoughts, you change your beliefs, you change your feelings, you change what you're transmitting. So if you're focused on what you do not want, you get what you do not want. If you focus on what you do want, you will get what you do want. It's an all-inclusive universe. What you focus on will expand. So your client comes into your office, and you want to think of them like a barbell. And on one end are all the things they want, they desire, and they aim to create. On the other end is the lack thereof. Most people's awareness is on what is missing in their life. So it's your role as the freedom planners to take that barbell, transfer all the weight over to the positive side, turn it into a scepter, and bop them on the head. Well, that's magical thinking. It would be nice, but we can't do that. But what we can do is we can change ourselves and what we're emitting, right? So how do we do that? Well, because you're freedom planners, you already know that money is only a form of energy, and energy on its highest vibrational frequency is a form of love, abundance, freedom, prosperity, states of well-being. So money can express love. And people put their money behind the things they care about, the people they love. They want to leave a legacy and an imprint. They want to experience a shared appreciation of the management of their money. And you are just the one to deliver that hopeful, uplifting experience. So what we're going to do is we're going to slow the energy down just a little bit right now, and we're going to go through a brief simulation, because when you experience something and you own it, you can deliver it. So So I'm going to ask for everyone to think of somebody in their life. It can be a colleague, a client, a family member, doesn't matter. But it should be somebody that you have a charged experience with, somebody that's anything but neutral, strong feelings, one way or the other. Get them in your mind. And I'm going to go through a series of about 5 or 6 questions and maybe about 16 words. And I want you to notice what thoughts, what feelings, what beliefs, and what sensations come up as I go through this. But before we do that, I'm going to ask for everyone to place both feet firmly on the ground. Feel the earth below the ground, below your feet. And release any pens, pads, water glasses, cell phones, release them from your hands. And I need a deep breath in, so you want to join me with that. Take a deep breath in. And just exhale and allow your vision to grow soft. Allow your eyes to close, and this will just simply eliminate external stimuli and allow you to develop a stronger baseline of what your vibrational frequency is. Okay? So here we go. First the questions, then the words. What is your particular belief about this individual and their life situation? Do you view it as a problem and feel relieved that it is not your particular life situation? Perhaps you selected somebody that you admire or has a desirable lifestyle. And if that is the case, do you have positive beliefs about your capacity to experience that type of lifestyle or qualities? Or do you deem it as impossible? Are you aware of your thoughts and your feelings and your sensations right now? Do you justify them or do you wonder about them? What are you thinking right now as I speak? Okay, now the words. Retirement versus leisure life. Payments versus organic outflow. Obligations versus choices integrating interests. Judgment versus preferences. Budget versus spending curriculum. Responsibility, ability to respond. Debt, contributions towards freedom. I need, I should, I have to. I want, I desire, I create. Security, repeated successes. Okay, feel free to open your eyes. Words have a vibrational quality to them. Studies have shown that sounds of the same frequency are drawn together. If you're not completely convinced about your personal power and the ability to shift circumstances, create synchronicities, and allow things to unfold effortlessly, see what the greats have said about intuition. Try an experiment for the next 30 days. Use your feelings as your GPS, your guidance system. Anytime you feel anything less than desirable, go into your head, see what your thought is. Reach for a better feeling thought. It has to be authentic. The universe responds to your vibration, not what you're saying. And inch your way to a better feeling place. Watch how things shift. And know that in less than 5 years, when we reach 2020, 2020, clear vision, there will be more emphasis on pure positive energy, more entrepreneurs collaborating in co-creation, less corporate competition, more decisions made circularly and holistically rather than hierarchically, less focus on commiseration and more on solutions. And you are just the front runners, the leading edge creators, and the freedom planners to take us to that next level. Thank you very much.